Cup final this evening is all about writing history and also celebrating Australian footballing history.
Reaching the final of Australian football's knockout competition was arguably Sydney United's greatest ever achievement.
They are a side with a fantastic identity. We are underway.
But the semi-professional club's fairy tale run to the final was overshadowed by the behaviour of some fans.
Performing what appeared to be a Nazi salute.
Croatian migrants founded Sydney United as a football and social club in Sydney's southwest more than 6 decades ago.
Sydney United, the club, used to be called Sydney Croatia, is really at the heart of the Western Sydney Croatian community. It's been a central part of the Croatian Australian community's integration into Australian life.
1-0, Craig Foster the goal scorer.
Former Socceroo Craig Foster played for Sydney United in the 1980s, one of a long line of national team players the club has produced.
This is one of the most serious moments, not just that we've seen in Australian football, but probably that we've seen in Australian sport.
It's important that we are very, very clear that anyone who is intolerant or brings intolerance to the sport, that they won't be welcomed.
Football Australia is investigating who was involved on the night, but for the sports leaders, warning signs about extremists in the club's supporter base have been hiding in plain sight for years. On the public social media pages of Sydney United supporter groups, there are fans performing Nazi salutes at the club's home ground, photos from recent times and from years gone by, with the supporters proudly displaying their Sydney Croatia or Sydney United flags and banners.
It's not credible to say that football administrators, either at state level and likely also at national level, had no idea or understanding that these groups existed.
If a reasonable level of due diligence had been undertaken, I'm pretty sure that that would have been revealed.
The irrepressible number 11, Francis Awara-Tifi. Since he came from England, he's become...
Former Socceroo Francis Awara-Tifi played for Sydney United. He's now president of the Players' Union, which is pushing governing bodies to better address spectator racism.
We cannot minimise it, because if we're doing that, we're just providing a culture which is going to enable those behaviours to continue.
Sydney United says it has zero tolerance for any form of disrespect, racism or discrimination, and rejects any suggestion that it knew or should have known any form of extremism would occur at the final.
There's been a real rise of synergy between soccer cultures and the far right, particularly also in Eastern Europe in recent years.
Ramon Spy is a researcher specialising in both football hooliganism and terrorism. He says those producing Nazi salutes here may not be fascists themselves.
Particularly with young men, it's kind of a way of, a clamour for attention, to be seen, to be heard and provoking.
At this month's Australia Cup final, large sections of fans joined in a chant called Zadom Spremni. Its literal meaning is for the homeland, but the phrase is synonymous with Croatia's fascist rulers during World War II, a puppet state of Nazi Germany.
There is a place for celebrating Croatian-Australian fan culture in the game, but not at the expense of, of harm and outright discrimination.
While others brought the flag of the World War II regime.
It's clearly not only within Croatian-Australian fan communities that we see some of these behaviours. This is actually a bit more widespread. I think at the same time we have to be careful that it doesn't turn into stigmatise our entire communities, entire fan groups, which has historically often happened.
Football Australia has handed lifetime bans to 2 spectators from the Australia Cup final It told 7:30 it is continuing to investigate other supporters and the club and is providing evidence to New South Wales Police.
It's been a valiant performance from Sydney United.
So many of us in the game are concerned that this investigation is thorough and to make sure that either this or any other club in Australia has not been associated with or in any way harbouring any fan groups who have these types of hateful views. This is about the standards that we expect our game to apply on behalf of all Australians. It's a big moment for Australian football.